First of all, ignore the boxes that I'm literally boxed in right now. Okay, hold on. So I was gonna be not sitting in the floor in front of my bookshelves, but I broke the chair that I was in. So we're gonna not talk about that. Also, my new shirt, absolutely love it. I'm being watched, I'm on FaceTime, so if you see me cheesing, that's why. So today, I got this video idea from a girl that I watch who most people probably know in the book world. Her name is Larissa, I think is her actual name, but she goes by Larry Reads. She thought of the video that I'm doing, which is a Mariana Zapata like guide to her. Sorry, my shoe looked weird. As we know, All Roads Lead Here is my favorite book of all time. So I decided to read the books of hers that I haven't read because I read 2 of them, which was Rhodes and Winnipeg, and I decided to read the rest of them. I'm pretty much I read all but 2, and the only reason I didn't read the 2 is because 1, the synopsises of them didn't really stick out to me, so I didn't read those. But I read all of her other books, and I read them in publication order, so I'm going to go through them, tell a little bit about them, not too much, and what I thought of them and my rating. And then I'm going to, after I go through them, I'm going to go through my rating of them, like my 1 through, I think it's 10 per. We're going to start with the first book, and that is Under Lock. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 3 at first, but the more I think about it, the more I want to give it like a 3.5, 3.9. It wasn't exactly a 4 or 5, because 4 or 5s are like my top tier book, but I still really, really, really enjoyed it. I loved the whole asshole protective man in it. I loved that whole thing. It just was a little too slow for me at the beginning, but I still really enjoyed it. At first I didn't think I would reread this. I think I might eventually, just so now that I know them, I can get a hold of it. This book is about Iris and Dex Lock. And pretty much she goes and works in his tattoo shop, and he's like an absolute dick to her, and she's and for what? And of course, he gets all protective, and he gets all jealous, and it's just awesome, and they just kind of get their thing, and she is just like, why are you acting like that to me? And her family is involved with some really bad people, and so he kind of becomes super protective, and that's pretty much it. It's literally him being an asshole and her being great. So 3.5 out of 5. Culty. I gave this a 4. It was one of my most anticipated books. I very much enjoyed it. I gave it a 4. Yeah. Culty is an age gap romance, and it is about this soccer player who was in love with and a big fan of Rainer Culty growing up, and he's I think 12 years older than her. He ends up being her assistant coach, and they butt heads because he's just a dick to her, and he has a past with her brother where he got her brother injured or something, and he didn't get in trouble because he's him, and they just kind of become obsessed with each other. She just becomes re-obsessed and in love with him, and she calls him out on his shit, and he's and it's another enemies lovers. He becomes very jealous, protective of her. They're the same person. They just click so well, and they just get along so good, and I love the banter in this. Let me tell you, Mariana is a slow burn author, so this is 90% in the book they finally kiss type of deal, but her writing is so real and so in it that it makes it feel less dragging. I don't feel any of her books, even the ones that I gave lower stars, were dragging for slow romance. So 4 to 5. Culty, very hot. So all these books intertwine in very small ways. So they go to the tattoo shop in Under Lock in this book, so you get a little glimpse of them. I read this book 4 or 5 times. Absolutely love. 5 out of 5. Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I recently reread this, so I didn't read it in this read through, but I reread it. This was my second Mariana book ever. 5 out of 5. Aiden and Vanessa. Vanessa is Aiden's secretary, assistant type thing. She cooks for him, everything, knows everything about him, all the stuff he needs, all the stuff he likes. And she finally raises enough money to get away because he's an ass, and he doesn't talk to her, and she's just like, why do I want to be in this environment for work? So she quits on him, and a couple weeks later she comes home and he's sitting on her porch and he's like, please come back. She's like, no, I'm not dealing with that. And he keeps showing up and keeps begging, and then he asks her to marry him. So it's a marriage of convenience, and he's like, I will pay off your student loans, I will beg you a house afterwards, just please, so I can stay and play, because I think he's Canadian, I think it is, so I can't stay in the country or vice versa. So he needs to marry her to stay, and it's just slow burn, but like they become best friends, and it's just like everything. Definitely recommend this one. Okay, y'all, the fourth book has become my second favorite Mariana book of all time, and it is, wait for it, when I tell you, this book, I read this on my Kindle, so I just have a few of my tabs in here right now, but I will be rereading this book. I love this book so much. Dallas and Diana. So Diana inherits her two nephews through a tragic accident where her brother dies, and they're literally her kids. Like, she's had them for a couple years. By the time the book starts, I think it's a year or two, she moves in across the street from Dallas, where she meets him when she helps his brother from getting in the middle of him getting mugged on the street, when her nephews are trying to sleep. So they just kind of form this like neighborly bond, and he's like an asshole, but he's not like an asshole to her. They pretty much just like get along, and she like brings him like food and blah blah blah, and his grandma is her neighbor. And they just like, and so one of the older boy plays baseball, and he just so happens to be a baseball coach. So him and his cousin, they have him on the team, and so they are interacting that way. And people are mean to her because she's younger and she's got these boys, and some of the girls on the team treat her like she's less than like she's a whore, pretty much. And she's just like, she does nothing wrong, and she's so sweet, and she's literally everything. And he just becomes very, very protective of her, and because of the boys. And you learn that he's like in the middle of a divorce, so he's like not wanting to have anything with her, and she's like feels almost not good enough for him, and she's trying to be good enough for her boys. And it was just literally everything. And it's slow burn, but like the friendship and the build up and like the found family, and it's just like, literally love this book so much. Love this book. Dear Erin was the next book. I gave this a 3 out of 5, but it's kind of the same as Under Lock. I'd probably do almost a 4. I didn't think I would like it because the first half of the book is literally like, let's see, first 260 pages, it's just messages, IMs, texts, letters between Erin and Ruby. And he's in the service, and she signs up to like be like a pen pal type thing, send gifts. Well, they end up getting along really well, and they're like very similar in their likes, and he's just like, he becomes protective of her through her talking and finding out she's never had a boyfriend. And at first he's trying to help her, like, oh, this is what you can do, this is what you can say, this is how you blah blah. And then he's like, no, he gets jealous, and she's like not picking up on the fact that he's like jealous because he like likes her. So then they finally meet, and it's like amazing and even better, and then they both realize like this is something, and they go through that little drama for a minute, and it's just like, it's so cute. I literally really enjoyed it. So cute, I promise, it's so cute. So 3.5, 4 out of 5. The next one, Luke Off with Love. Another one of my most anticipated, absolutely love. This was just so good. The banter, the long-term yearning after each other was just everything. So Ivan and Jasmine, they are both figure skaters. She has been trying to like get like a grand champ type winning thing for years. And she is best friends with Ivan's sister. Well, Ivan is like number one. Everyone loves Ivan. The place that she like practices at is like his family, whatever, and he ends up asking her to be his partner while his partner is like on like a break, and you find out that that's not really the reason he asked her. And they just banter, and then she has some like issues with like her family, and he gets involved, and like it's so cute. And they literally like, they banter, and then they become best friends, and they know each other so well. And then it's all her books are slow burn. So by the end, you're just like waiting on it to happen. And when they finally kiss and they finally say the words, you're just like, I was literally kicking and screaming. So like 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. Literally love this book so much. This book is Luna and the Lie, obviously. This is about Rip and Luna. Luna has had a very hard childhood past. Her family is absolute trash. This is another kind of found family trope. She ends up moving away from her toxic family, and she moves and she gets a job at this like paint shop, body shop for cars. And the old man who like works there and runs it becomes like her father figure, like her grandpa, like her family. And a couple years into it, a man named Rip comes, and he's hot as heck, and he's an absolute ass. Like, he's so rude. I hated him at first. And he's really mean to the man, which you figure out like the history there. And she's just like, he just keeps being mean, and eventually she's like, what is your problem? He owes her a favor. So someone from her past, the only good person from her past family dies, so he goes to the funeral with her. And that's when they start to kind of kindle up a friendship. And it's kind of like under lock vibes. He just becomes very protective, and at one point she's just tired of the way he gets mad and just takes it out on her. And so she's like, fine, not good enough for you, I'm not dealing with this anymore, I've dealt with this my whole life. And this mother effer grovels so well. It is very good groveling. 10 out of 10 groveling. I love me some grovel. But this was a cute one. It was really fun. I love the protective alpha male thing going on. So the next one was The Best Thing. This one was another kind of like Dear Erin, not the letter, but like it was very cute. I didn't know how to feel about it. Lenny gets pregnant. Lenny falls in love when she's out of the country with this man, and they're together for months and months and months, and she gets pregnant and he disappears, not knowing she's pregnant. She's been trying to get a hold of him. She has the baby and she stops trying to get a hold of him. Then 8 months after she has the baby, he shows up at her gym, and he's just like trying to explain why he had to go, blah blah blah. And then he finds out that this daughter that she has is his, and he steps up immediately. He's such a good person, such a good dad. Like, this was so cute. It was such a good second chance. I would give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It was very, very cute. A little slow sometimes, but still very cute. Like, I very much enjoyed it. I want to say I gave this a 4 out of 5, but this is hands down. It's about Zach and Bee, and Zach is from Wall of Winnipeg. Literally loved him so much in Wall of Winnipeg, and they grew up together. She was in love with him, and she hasn't seen him in years, and all of a sudden his grandfather is, or his like best friend's grandfather who pretty much raised him, got hurt. So she gets tasked with going to pick him up, and she gets her heart broken because he doesn't know who she is at first. And then he realizes, and all of a sudden he's like misses her. So they hang out, they blah blah blah, and she's like still falling in love with him, and she's trying not to. And he starts kind of picking up that she feels like she's bothering him, and she keeps saying stuff like that, and he's just like, why? Like, are you doing that? And you kind of see him start to get those feelings, and her not realize it and feel like he does. Eventually she's just like, I can't do this, like I can't be hurt again. And of course there's that little groveling moment, and he's just like, I'm so sorry, like you've been my best friend for these past so long. And he becomes very protective, and it's very cute, and it's very good. I love Zach. He is my southern man. Okay, my man. So love this. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the next one because we all know how I feel, but my number one Mariana book, number one book ever. I just love this book. It's about Tobias and Aurora. She moves back to this town where her mom was. Her mom had passed away when she was younger. She just disappeared on a hiking trip. And she moves into the garage apartment of Tobias Rhodes, and he is a DILF, and he's so fine, and he has his son, Amos, and they just kind of have like a back and forth, and he's just kind of a jerk, and he's like not about it. And of course they fall in love, and he just realizes that she's like such a strong woman and she's like resilient. She's just trying to live her best life and she falls in love on the way, and it's literally so good. The found family in this is everything, and I love this book. Now it's time for my ratings. I wrote this down. I'm gonna read it to you. Overall synopsis: Mariana is a genius. Even the couple I probably won't read again, I still love because they all had something that kept me drawn in from the beginning. Even the predictable stuff and the cheesiness, they were all worth it in my opinion. Very true. I love her writing because even when it's plain old stuff and just everything, it's real. It generally is relatable to real life and makes me feel like it's the stories of like real life people. Slow burn queen. I very much enjoyed every book, and I love that they had the glimpses, and I just kind of talked about that. So my faves in order is All Roads Leads Here, Wait for It, Winnipeg, Lukoff, hands down, Culty, Best Thing, Dear Erin, Luna and the Lie, and Underlock. That's my top 10, like my order of how I love them. But yeah, so here we have all the books. This is it. That's my little video. I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed this and like preparing it and stuff. I may do it for some other series. I might do a Colleen one. See how we feel. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please follow my Bookstagram, Bookishmorgan. Same name here. My TikTok is also Bookishmorgan, but the first O is a 0 because some freaking person has my name that I want and isn't even active. So, but yeah, so thank you. Love y'all.